Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about entries. We're going to talk about how you enter off of the imbalance area. I'm sure a lot of people have questions. Most of you are wondering, how do I use the imbalance concept to get my entries? How do I use them in my targets? Well, this is the right video. But then, if you've not watched the imbalance video, just go back, watch that video, and then come back right here. Let's dissect it. So I'll leave the video in the link for the imbalance area video, so you can understand what an imbalance area is, how we take trades off of them, and all. So let's just get right into today's video. I enter off of my imbalance area with the Fibonacci tool. Say whatever you want to say. The Fibonacci tool is really helpful to me. I do not use it like the way I've seen it being used on YouTube. I do not use the default template. The default template is really, it looks like a whole lot to me, to be honest. I don't know how you guys get off your entries and how you guys get your exits with the fib in the default template. I'll show you how the fib default looks like, and then I'll leave my settings on the screen so you can screenshot if you want to use it. So right here, this is the default fib template. I don't know what the 4.236, I don't know what all these extra levels are doing on the fib. I don't use them, so definitely I'm not your guy when it comes to all these extra levels. I'm going to teach you how to draw the fib the way I use them. So I'm going to leave my template right here. If you want my settings, this is it for about a few seconds, and then I go on with the video. So how I draw my fib, I literally draw my fib from open to close off of my imbalance area. So anytime I have my imbalance, depending on the kind of move I want, I draw my fib from open to close. So if I'm in a buy setup, I draw my fib from the open to the close of the imbalance area. If I'm on a sell, I also draw from the open to the close of the imbalance area. So it's that simple for me. So yes, I use two main fib levels. I use the 62 and then the 78.6. 62, I mean 61.8, 79. Right here, as you're seeing on my screen, that's the 78.6. I just like to round up values because I don't like the whole decimal figures and all. It makes stuff complicated for me. So yes, drawing the fib, I draw from open to close of my imbalance area. If I'm anticipating a sell, I draw from open to close, a buy, open to close. So right here, if you don't know what an imbalance area is, like I said, it was in the previous video. Just go there. I'll leave the link in the video description so you can watch it. So let's say right here I had a sell imbalance. So all I do is, for my imbalance area, I draw my fib from open to close. So right here, I got my taps off of the 79 level. This is going to be, anytime I get my trades off of the 79, I swing it. So for the rest of you, I do not know how you trade, but if I get my indications off of the 79, my sell indications off of the 79 or buy, I swing it. If I get off of the 62, I hold it for the entire session. That's how I trade. And then I prefer to hold trades throughout the Asian and then the New York session. I don't do much with London because I figured that whatever I do doesn't work that much in the London session. Like, as a trader, you have to find what works for you. And I feel like because I like to swing most of the time, if I hold my positions from the Asian session, I don't get caught in all that manipulation that happens during London. So right here, most of you are going to ask me, how do you get your entries and how do you set your stop losses? How do you set your targets? So for my targets, I know they've told you to, I know you've learned how to enter off of order blocks, but for me, I do not enter off of order blocks most of the time. I use order blocks to set my targets because I feel like anytime I set my targets off with order blocks, they get hit to the T. Like, my targets are always hit when I use order blocks to set targets instead of entries. For entries, it's too cliche. Banks are catching that. So if you're going to use your order blocks for your entries, most of the time you find out like you're a couple of pips off, your SL will get hit before the move goes in your current direction and all. So for my entries, I like to look for 2 wicks. 2. I could have 3, I could have 4, but 2 is always my indication. Once I see 2 wicks on either the 15 or the 5-minute time frame, on my fib levels, when I have 2 rejection wicks on the 79, I go ahead and I set my trade. I go ahead and I execute. So let's say right here on the 15-minute 79, let's see if we would have an entry right here. So yes, immediately at these 2 weeks on my 79, this would have been my execution. This is how I would literally enter the trade. Somebody is going to ask me, how do you set stop losses? For my stop losses, if I'm using the fib, I use very tight stop losses, always under 20 pips. But then again, since we're teaching, since most of you are beginners, since I'm literally dropping this concept, so even a newbie can understand the markets, I wouldn't like you to stress you with my stop loss concepts. So if you're using the fib, just use the 88.6 as your stop loss. Let me just do this. So yes, for your stop losses, I like to use the 88.6 level if I'm on the fib entries. So 88.6 for your stop losses, and that's it for entries. So like yes, right here for this setup, if you are getting your entries off of the 79 and your stops at the 88.6 level, this is a very wide stop loss for me. That's a 50 pip stop loss for, let's say, and I'm targeting about like a 300 pip move though, but then a 50 pip stop loss for me is too wide. If I wanted to take this trade and put my stop losses, I'd have placed my stops right above the wicks for which I took the entry. So on the 15-minute, above my 2 wicks, that's right where my stops would be. But then for a more generalized approach, always use the 88.6 if you're drawing your fibs, if you are taking your stop losses from the fibs. So like right here, if this were my entry and this was my entry, so I would have put my stop loss right above this previous wick, and this was my entry when the second wick was formed. So my target, I like to run my targets on the 4-hour time frame. And I would have been targeting this order block right here. So this is a 22.3 risk to reward setup, and I feel like this is really okay. And so I got another entry off of the 1-hour time frame. I'll show you guys right here. Mark this up. I might put the video when I was marking this up for these particular cells. It was earlier this afternoon. I was having lunch and then I decided to make a quick video, so I put it in. I was saying, anytime you get a rebound off of the 79 level, the 78.6 or the 79, I like to round the figure up for aesthetics. But anytime you get your rebounds off of your 79 level, just swing the trade, swing it. Where price was trading into this imbalance area at the 79, your stops, again, stops at the 88.6 level, and your stops would have never got hit right here at the 88.6. You could use about 2 to 3 pips higher for spreads depending on your broker, but I use very good brokers, so spreads, I hardly worry about spreads. So yes, this would have been your entry for this. Targets, again, once again, running my targets to nearest order block on the 4-hour time frame. That would have been here if I want to be very open about my profits, right here again. So yes, that's it for imbalance areas for this particular GBP USD trade. For gold too, I did the same. For gold, I was on the 1-hour time frame. On today, the 27th of June, I took this trade, I think, in the Asian session. So right here, this was my imbalance area. I had it marked up, and then when price traded into this area, I took my sells off of the 79, like I told you, on the 15 minutes, 2-3 weeks, always. So once I had this, This was not enough confirmation for me, but then I waited for these 2 weeks. Once I had that, I took my sells. I placed my stop loss right above here. I had it at 1841.5, and I'm running my targets to 1818. Haven't been hit yet, but I'm very confident it'll get hit. So that's it for the sell, imbalance, and sell entries on gold. I could show you one for a buy. Let's see. To the 4-hour time frame. So yes, right here we had this imbalance area on the 4-hour time frame. So yes, on the 4-hour time frame, we had a tap into the 62. Off of the 62, I like to take a cool intraday trade. Let's look at our 62 setup. So here the setup wasn't as clean, the 2 weeks wasn't as clean, but I would have seen it. I don't know for you, but then these were 2 weeks which closed above my 62 level. I would have literally taken this buy, but then my next reason for also taking this buy was this 15-minute order block. Price tapped right into it. I could have also taken the buys, placed my stop loss directly under this, and then targeted a 4-hour order block. Like I said, if you want to use 4-hour order blocks for your targets, they are going to be very precise. So right here, there was this order block on the 4-hour time frame that got tapped to the T. So you would have secured your profits and then you would have been out. So guys, that's it for imbalance areas. That's it for how I take my entries off of the imbalance areas. I hope you found this video very helpful. If you found this helpful, you can always like, you can subscribe, hit the notification button for subsequent videos of this sort, and I'll see you in the next. Thank you very much.